So here we are now with Kirk Drogsvold. I would say local artist. I would say man about town, Renaissance man. What do you think?
That's right.
Is that good?
That's what I'm trying to work on. That, yeah.
Yeah, he's got a nice shirt on today. Way nicer than mine.
My jazz shirt.
Your jazz shirt.
Like several other shirts. Yeah.
So we're going to just talk about a little bit of everything. But what we like to begin with is what brought you to Telluride?
Yeah. So it was the last day of class at CU in Boulder, and an advisor walks in the room and says, "Is anybody interested in an internship in Telluride?" And I raised my hand, of course. I was the only one, and got in touch with Thea Chase, who was the managing director of the Telluride Venture Accelerator.
Mm-hmm.
And so I moved up here on a whim, and I was going to be here for about a month. I was staying at the Peaks, so the room was covered, but there was no pay. So I needed a bit of beer money, and so I was like, oh, maybe I could play some guitar around town.
You're a busker.
Yeah.
You're one of them.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah, one of those guys. And I ran into Emma Girona at the Art and Architecture Festival, and she said that they have a Spanish-style restaurant in the village, and that maybe I could play some music. And one thing led to another, and I was making enough money to pay rent. And then Johnny, the owner of the Village Table, offered to buy a ski pass as well. And so, I mean, after that...
Not the worst place in the world to do what you do.
Yeah.
So you don't do... We don't like to call it flamenco guitar.
No.
At the Village Table. You call it alpine flamenco.
Yeah, very different. Very different.
What is that like? Is that like fish but with flamenco guitar, or what is it?
No,
string cheese.
Yeah, nothing like fish.
Okay.
But I would say it's a more mellow flamenco. So maybe if Pink Floyd and maybe Paco de Lucia got together and jammed, that would be maybe something like it.
So you've been here for how long now?
4 years.
4 years now.
Yeah.
Okay, so just back the train up for a second. So we're talking about you come for the Venture Accelerator thing, and now you're playing the flamenco guitar. Is this is primarily what you're doing here?
Yeah, primarily, and then on the side, I'm also trying to start a lighting design business.
Okay.
So building cool fixtures using modern tech, so 3D modeling and.
Well, talk to me about this. What is this all about? I'm in theater, and I understand lighting design from that perspective of like the actors need to be lit, or this scene changes, so we need to figure this out. But when you say lighting design, what do you mean exactly? Or 3D?
Yeah,
things?
I guess it comes down to the maker movement. So with these new tools, we're able to build stuff all over the place and think about different ways of delivering products to people, and just sending them via email. And so right now we have 3D printers, we have CNC machines, we have laser cutters and stuff, and we're just starting to be able to share products via email. And so I think it's an interesting exploration to get into what can you make, and I've been making some designs that just turned out to be lighting designs, but they could morph into something else.
Okay, so when you say lighting designs, what exactly does that mean? Within the context of like 3D printers and things like that? Yeah,
so I've come up with these designs that can cut a sheet material, just about any sort of sheet material that you can cut into these beautiful sculptural forms. So we've done some out of plywood, out of acrylic, out of a material called paper stone, which is almost 100% recycled paper. So getting into thinking about closed loop business models.
Okay.
And
paper stone.
Paper stone, yeah.
Okay.
Really cool product out of, I think it's Seattle.
Cool.
And just trying to get that up and running as well.
And what is the, like, when you're doing the lighting designs, are you talking about like the sort of things that go on the front of lighting, that lighting instruments that are casting different sort of shadows and different sort of like shapes and those kind of things, or what are we?
So they're the fixtures.
Oh, okay. Right.
So yeah, they do make some nice light shapes. But,
okay.
Yeah, they're more about the form and how they're made.
How do you get into all this? I mean, is this what you did at Boulder?
Yeah, it is. I studied environmental design at Boulder. So there was a certain group of people who loved getting in with the laser cutter and and the CNC machines and thinking about what you could make.
Okay.
And yeah, that grabbed me. So.
And where would that, like, for you, you know, when you're looking at this kind of stuff and you're walking around a place like Telluride, which is an incredible, you know, I mean, there's a lot of wealth here and there's a lot of people here. I mean, for the size population and everything, but there's also a lot of open space and things like that. So when you look at Telluride, what are you inspired by in terms of environmental design and things like that?
The aspen trees.
Oh, okay.
Love the aspen trees.
Okay.
I think, actually. The inspiration for the ones I've been building has been the sun through the aspen trees, just the way it kind of shimmers, and there's something just very fundamental, I would say, that it evokes just the aesthetics of the trees and the way it shimmers.
I agree. We at the house down Valley that my wife and I are at, we want to put in like an aspen grove, and it's actually just for that.
Really?
For this whole idea. There's something you're saying, like evoking something, like it's like something of a place. Also, the aspens make a sound.
They do.
Unlike it's like people like shuffling things, like.
Yeah, it's really pleasant, and
yeah,
it's distributed in 3 dimensions, so you can kind of hear it all around you.
Is there anything else that you're into? Because you are. I mean, sort of in some ways, Kirk. I think like. The perfect Telluridian. You came here. It's always you come here for something else, and you're here, and then you invent something to make your living, and then within that you see some sort of a hole, and you fill that hole with something that you're really interested in that nobody else is really doing, which is part of this environmental design and things like that you're doing here. Is there other stuff?
Well, I think it's. Every time we've had new technology come about in the world, people come up with new forms for creating art and sharing, meaning. And so I do take an interest in a lot of the new technology that's coming out, including virtual reality and augmented reality, and I'm hoping to interweave these projects. So this off season, I'm going to be going to Boulder. To work with, it's called the Blow Things Up Lab.
The Blow Things Up Lab?
Yeah.
This sounds amazing.
Yeah, it's a cool place. It's through the Atlas program at CU Boulder. And going to be working on connecting the light fixtures to the internet.
Okay.
And maybe take a data stream. A good one for Telluride would be maybe weather data. So these things are going to shake when a storm's coming. So.
God, that's amazing. It's so far outside of the box to me in some ways in terms of what you're talking about, because you're talking about the application of a thing, but then not necessarily what we would think it was normally applied for. You know, when you say lighting, it's like I'm like, oh, a pathway, or theatrical lighting or something like that, and you're like, oh, these things are gonna like react to the weather.
Yeah,
because the weather is a big deal here.
It is. Yeah, and it gets people excited, and it gets me excited. So, yeah, I think it's just a fun exploration. I don't know where it's going to go, but just
cool,
coming up with ideas and trying to make things. And
if we were to try to find you to go all the way to bring this full circle, if we were to try to find you, you would go and we would find you playing alpine flamenco at the village table. On what nights? Tell us about that.
So,
because we want to make sure that you stay here.
Yeah, I love it here. It's a great place. Monday and Thursday evening, I'm at the village table from 6 to 9. Okay. And then Tuesdays, I'm at Black Iron from 5:30 to 8:30.
Great.
And Wednesdays at the Peaks from 5:30 to 8:30.
Great. So if we come up to Mountain Village at any point during the week, we can hear the Alpine Flamenco emanating from one of these different places.